A lawyer has just purchased a new Ferrari and he is very eager to show it off to his colleagues. Suddenly, an 18-wheeler comes out of nowhere and takes off the driver's side door as he's standing right next to it. "No!" he screams, because he knows that the car will never be the same again. Minutes later, a policeman arrives. The lawyer runs up to him screaming, "My Ferrari door was just torn off by that idiot in that truck over there!" The policeman looks at him and asks, "You're a lawyer, ain't you?" "Well, yes, I am," replies the lawyer. "But what does that have to do with anything?" The policeman replies, "You lawyers are all the same. All you care about are your personal possessions. I bet you didn't even notice that your left arm is missing." Shocked, the lawyer looks down at his side and screams, "My Rolex!" A guy meets a beautiful blonde and asks her out on a date. They go to dinner and go dancing afterwards. On the way home, the guy decides to stop at the local lover's lane. They start kissing and things are getting pretty hot. The guy asks the blonde,
"Hey, how would you like to move to the back seat?"
The blonde quickly replies,
"No thanks."
So they go back to kissing. A few minutes later, the guy asks her again if she would like to move to the back seat. But again, she quickly says no. Frustrated, he says,
"Look, are you sure you don't want to get in the back seat?"
"No,
replies the blonde.
I want to stay up front with you."
A saddened cowboy walks into a bar. The bartender asks, "Why the long face?" The cowboy replies, "I just found out my wife is sleeping with another man. I've decided I'm going to drink myself to death." The bartender looks shocked and says, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you kill yourself." The cowboy asks, "Well, what would you do in my situation?" The bartender puffs himself up a bit and says, "If I found out a guy was sleeping with my wife, I wouldn't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I'd kill the guy." The cowboy jumps up from his stool and shouts, "That's a great idea!" and runs out of the bar. A couple of hours go by, and the bartender is starting to get nervous, when the cowboy walks back into the bar with a big smile on his face. "Did you kill the guy?" the bartender asks nervously. "Nope. I slept with your wife." Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson go on a camping trip. After a good dinner and a bottle of wine, they retire for the night and go to sleep. Some hours later, Holmes wakes up and nudges his faithful friend. "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." "I see millions and millions of stars," replies Watson. "And what do you deduce from that?" Watson ponders for a minute. "Well, astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are a small and insignificant part of the universe. But what does it tell you, Holmes?" Holmes is silent for a moment. "Watson, you idiot!" he says. "Someone has stolen our tent!" One night, a priest, a preacher, and a rabbi are playing a game of poker, when the cops suddenly bust down their door and arrest them all on the spot. They are immediately taken before a judge who tells them, "Look, it's late and I don't want to send 3 holy men to jail. So if you can give me a good reason as to why you weren't gambling, I'll let you go." The priest is the first to step forward and tells the judge,
"We weren't gambling because no money had changed hands yet."
The judge decides that this is a good enough answer and lets the man go. The preacher goes next and says, "We weren't gambling because we hadn't even dealt the cards yet." Again, the judge lets him go. With just the rabbi left, the judge says, "And finally, can you give me a good reason why you weren't gambling?" The rabbi gestures around the courtroom, empty except for the 2 of them, and asks, "Gambling? With whom?" A burglar breaks into a house one night. He shines his flashlight around looking for valuables when a voice in the dark says,
Jesus knows you're here.
He nearly jumps out of his skin, clicks his flashlight off, and freezes. When he hears nothing more, he shakes his head and continues. Just as he pulls the stereo out to disconnect the wires, clear as a bell, he hears,
Jesus is watching you.
Startled, he shines his light around frantically, looking for the source of the voice. Finally, in the corner of the room, his flashlight beam comes to rest on a parrot.
Did you say that?
He hisses at the parrot.
Yes?
The parrot confesses, then squawks.
I'm just trying to warn you that he's watching you.
The burglar relaxes.
Warn me, huh? Who in the world are you?
Moses.
Replies the bird.
Moses?
The burglar laughs.
What kind of people would name a bird Moses?
The parrot replies.
The kind of people who would name a Rottweiler Jesus.
A ship's captain cautiously pilots his warship through the fog-shrouded waters in the middle of the night. He sees a bright light straight ahead. It appears to be a vessel on a collision course with his ship. To avert disaster, he quickly radios the oncoming vessel.
This is Captain Patrick Williams.
His voice crackles over the radio.
Please alter your course 10 degrees south. Over.
To the captain's amazement, the foggy image does not move. Instead, he hears back on the radio,
Captain Williams, this is Private Thomas Johnson. Please alter your course 10 degrees north. Over.
Appalled at the audacity of the message, the captain shouts back over the radio,
Private Johnson, this is Captain Williams, and I order you to immediately alter your course 10 degrees south. Over.
A second time, the oncoming light does not budge.
With all due respect, Captain Williams,
Comes the private's voice again.
I order you to alter your course immediately 10 degrees north. Over.
Angered and frustrated that this impudent sailor would endanger the lives of his men and crew, the captain growls back over the radio.
Private Johnson, I can have you court-martialed for this. For the last time, I command you, on the authority of the United States government, to alter your course 10 degrees to the south. I am a battleship.
The private's voice replies over the radio.
Captain Williams, sir, once again, with all due respect, I command you to alter your course 10 degrees to the north. I am a lighthouse.